like to introduce you to the set of Country Garden dies. Now this actually gives you the flower heads, the individual stamens. It gives you also the beautiful little flourishes, butterflies and dragonflies and leaves. It's actually my favourite set, not that I should have a favourite. Now for those of you that actually haven't done any die cutting before, one of the best ways to store your dies is on magnetic sheets because it keeps them nice and safe and you don't lose any of your individual pieces. So I'm just going to show you some basic die cutting. Now I'm taking the dies and you will notice that they have the cutting edge and they also have the detail in here for embossing, which gives them that beautiful raised texture. So if I take a piece of cardstock, I'm going to use my Spellbinders Platinum, place the die facing to the cardstock, the right side of the cardstock facing it, and I'm actually going to do 2 in one go here because we can. And then I'm going to just pop that through the die cutting machine and that will give me the cut. I always tend to run forward and back, although it is done in one cut, but this is the nice easy way to do it. Then you're going to turn that around and place it with the cutting side facing upwards and the tan mat on top of that and then the blue embossing plate. We can then run that through the machine and take this out, and we now have the embossed detail into the die. So we just pop those out and then you can see how beautifully that comes out of there straight away with that embossed detail already in the centre. If you have any problems with the dies coming out, you can use your poker tool to just remove them, but they do have a wonderful coating on them to enable them to pop out perfectly. I'm going to cut the stamen now for the centre and use a mirror card, and the detail on the stamen is fantastic. I love the effect that this gives. This doesn't need embossing. We're just going to run this through and cut out that detail, pop that out. Now I do find you need your poker tool for this, and we do have a rather wonderful poker tool that has an incredible fine tip to it, which enables you to get all of these sections out perfectly. And I just nudge a few of them at the side and then pop that under the centre, and that pops out in one piece for us. So we can then put this flower together very simply, show you how it comes to life with a little bit of embossing. So I'm going to use the ballpoint embossing tool and flick the flower over and just work around the edge of the detail. Now when you're embossing the reverse of the flower, it will lose some of the embossed detail in the centre of it on the other side, because obviously we're putting pressure onto here, it's stretching the fibres of the card and it's changing that detail a little bit. And we can heavily emboss, or we can just do a little bit of embossing, which is what I'm doing here around the edge. If I turn that over now and work into the centre, that will pop those petals and move them upright for us. And the same on the next layer. I've cut 2 different sizes here. So I've gone with the biggest flower and then the next size down, which will give me a layered effect and a little bit more dimension to it. So just curling those tips of the flowers here, flip that over and then run that in the centre there. And then with my centerpiece, I'm going to run in this center area, and that's going to, just in a little circle, pop all of that detail to build up. Okay, now to put your flower together, we need our dry as clear. And we're just going to put a little bit of dry as clear in the center of the base flower. And then pop our second layer in, alternating the petals. And then just press that down in the centre so that grabs really nicely for us, there. Like so. Now, if we want to, on our little stamen here, we can put the fine gems onto those tips of the stamens. And the poker tool is the best thing for this because, of course, you have the very fine tip, I do need my glasses for this one, where we can then pick up these gems individually, take them across and attach them onto each of those little circles at the tip of our stamen. Now, the best way to do this is to take your poker tool, put your finger next to your jewel, stab it, lift it across, put your finger on top and allow it to then stick into place on your stamen. And this gives a wonderful sparkle. As an alternative, you could put a little bit of glitter glue onto there, but I do think the gems give it a much nicer bling and definitely looks a lot more expensive. So just spend a little bit of time running around the tips of your stamen to give that wonderful dimension and sparkle. And you could do this before we've actually done the little bit of embossing, which means it's nice and flat for you. But it's never too late to add a few jewels onto your work. The whole range of gems, of course, from Craft Buddy are available, and beautiful colours. This particular sheet has 2 different shades of the gold onto there, so really nice to work with. So again, now we're just going to curl that back into the centre. Going to take some of our Dries Clear and put it into the centre of our flower. Put my pin back in there so I don't have a problem with that drying up. Stamen in the centre. Take your ballpoint tool again and press that in, just hold it for a few seconds. Now it's really nice to finish off the centre of your flowers with a beautiful moon rock. As you can see, that looks gorgeous on its own, but if we want to take a moon rock to put in there, then I do advise that you use either a glue gun or some glue gel, and we can take a nice globule of the glue gel and pop that into the centre here. Because while the moon rocks are self-adhesive, you're working into a shaped centre here, so it's not going to hold it quite as well as the flat gem won't stick into there. So I just need to keep my poker tool nice and clean from that glue. And then I can pick up one of the gems from here and pop that into the centre, onto that glue gel, which will just make it stick better. And you can see there the finishing result is a beautiful dimensional flower.